what's going on, y'all? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And you're about to watch a little OTB LSU.
We're going to give you all the latest, greatest between LSU football, baseball, women's basketball, softball, and everything in between.
Bottom line, if you want to talk Tigers, keep it locked, subscribe, like it, and we hope you enjoy the Look, so let's get to the big news of the day for LSU fans, and that is the fact that Corey Raymond is back. The prodigal son returns. 10 years here in Baton Rouge, and some legendary years they were, right? 7 first-team All-Americans, Eric Reed, Jalen Mills, Jamal Adams, Trey White, Greedy Williams, Grant Delpit, Derek Stingley Jr. He had Delpit get the Jim Thorpe Award, sent double-digit players to the NFL in those 10 years, including 4 first-rounders. Just listen to these names. Again, Jamal Adams, Trey White, Eric Reed, Derek Stingley, Grant Delpit, Christian Fulton, Dante Jackson, Greedy Williams, Jalen Collins, Darrell Simon, Tyron Matthew, Jalen Collins, Rashard Robinson, Jalen Mills, Dante Jackson, Greedy Williams. There's like so many that you start to forget some.
Yeah. I even forgot some when you start talking there.
Yeah, Rashard Robinson always gets left behind.
And like another, like.
He was a 3rd-round pick.
Dwight McLaughlin, like who's at Arkansas now, like wasn't highly touted. Corey Raymond recruited him. He just graded out on Pro Football Focus as the highest graded corner in the country.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh, God. Good. Dwight. Come on. Look, if you think back to 2019, of course, LSU led the SEC with interceptions that year. They're number 2 in pass efficiency defense. They only allowed opponents to complete 50% of the passes. In 2018, they led the SEC with interceptions and were 2nd in the league in pass efficiency. So the point of all of this is that Corey Raymond's resume speaks for itself. He played at LSU, played 6 years in the league, and now after a 2-year hiatus, the prodigal son returns. And I'm ecstatic, Jake, because I was starting to think this wasn't going to happen. I tell you all the time, but like we hear things in this business and you know that, oh, man, this is definitely true, and then it doesn't come true. And I heard that Bo Davis and Corey Raymond were, like, definitely happening. But then I thought it was unrealistic monetarily for Bo. Well, they proved me wrong there. And then because it was dragging out so much on the Raymond front, I was like, oh, I guess something went awry. But no, Corey Raymond now back as DB coach, and the defensive revolution, the recreation of this staff continues to excite LSU fans.
It does, and they are putting together, on paper, right? You never know how everything's going to work out once you get there, but on paper, they're putting together like an all-star staff over on the defensive side. 2 defensive line coaches that people think maybe top 5 in the country, right? And you got both of them here, and then you get Blake Baker, and you get Corey Raymond, and you get all these pieces kind of together, and Blake Baker and Corey Raymond know each other, right? So, all those things, those things help. The fact, and obviously Blake's bringing people over from Missouri. He's familiar with them. Bo Davis is obviously familiar with LSU, being a player and coach here in the past, knows the state. And that's another important part is a lot of these coaches already know the state of Louisiana. As we know, and we talked about it when BK, came here as head coach. Like, Louisiana is unique. Like, you have to have those relationships within the state of Louisiana. So Corey, being from Louisiana, certainly already has those. Blake playing college football in Louisiana, coaching here multiple places, Louisiana Tech and LSU, knows the state. Bo Davis knows the state. Like, all those things to me are very important. Like, obviously the on-the-field coaching, which I think we can check off all those boxes, but just knowing the state, knowing the landscape, and being able to go out there and recruit from day one and not have to introduce yourself or get to know what are the dynamics in Shreveport, what are the dynamics in New Orleans, what are they in Lafayette. Like, you already know all those things because you've been through it.
Yeah, and there's actually another Louisiana name hired yesterday that might have kind of gotten lost in the Corey Raymond sauce, and that is Jake Olson from Mizzou, who will be coaching safety. So I believe like Corey's official title and salary and everything have yet to be released. And look, to be clear, a lot of this reporting that I'm getting is coming from On3 and their team and Shay and Bruin and everybody. So shout out to them and Billy Embody. But Jake Olson hired, I think, 2 coach safeties. We'll have this all officially confirmed a bit later on. And this is a cat who was coaching at Northwestern State, coaching special teams, linebackers, and safeties. And then Blake Baker, he kind of got on Blake Baker's radar somehow. And Baker hired him to be an analyst on LSU staff in 2021. Baker enjoyed him so much there that he took him to Mizzou with him and now has snatched him back and upgraded him to full-on position coach. So Jake Olson, one of the kind of viewed as like a young riser, and especially in Blake Baker's estimation, and again, a guy at Northwestern State for 4 years, LSU already before, so knows the area. And lest you think, going back to Raymond, that LSU did not do their due diligence, whether this was them okay, I'll just say what they said. They said they vetted double-digit candidates for that defensive backs job. So it was not just bequeathed upon Corey Raymond. They sat down with a lot of people, and to nobody's surprise, Raymond ended up being the choice, which makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah, I think that's important because, fans obviously wanted Corey Raymond back for everything you listed off when we started this conversation, for him being a former LSU Tiger, but this staff didn't really know him. As far as like Brian Kelly, right? He didn't, like, he knew who he was, but he didn't have a chance to know him. So I think it's actually even better the fact that you went through so many different names and you kept coming back to Corey Raymond. Like, that to me is very important piece of this. You didn't just like, oh, well, he was here before, did well here before. The fans kind of want him back, people around the program. Let's just do it. No, you vetted different people, and you went through different people, and you came to the decision that this was the best guy for the job.
And, I mean, again, the resume is undeniable. The success here previously was undeniable. And there's no real sign. Like, there's a term floating around there called Kelly casualties, right? Like people say, Trey Palmer was one of these. People painting Corey Raymond as one of these. It's basically that in the transition of power, these were guys who, for one reason or another, left. But as I remember it, Jake, and maybe I'm wrong here, Corey Raymond leaving had a bit more to do with LSU kind of dragging its feet and him not wanting to kind of be in limbo, and then Florida just coming out with a massive offer that he couldn't turn down. And so it was understandable at the time, right? Like, hold on. Like, look at the 10 years that I just did here. Look at the success. Look at the draft picks. And you're going to tell me I'm not just like an automatic, like almost like rubber stamp, I'm staying on staff? And then what, Florida's going to pay me nearly $2 million? What are we talking about then? I'm out. And so I'm glad now to see that it's worked out where both sides have found their way back to one another, because honestly, that's how it should have been from the beginning. Yeah,
and I'm very glad to have him back for what he can do, I think, for LSU, and also just because I've been around him for a long time. And this man loves LSU. I mean, we know he played there, but he got his first coaching opportunity. He was an intern in 2006. Like, he was just doing everything he could, T-Bob, just to be a part of the program and try to elevate himself. And then in 2007 and then 2008, when you were here, he was in the weight room, just like Bo Davis. Yeah. So think about that. Think about where they're at now in their career. And they started in the weight room because they wanted to be a part of what LSU was doing, because they played here. It meant something to them. And that's where Corey was when I was here. He was in the weight room. Before that, just literally an intern. What can you have me do? I'll do whatever I have to do, weight room, whatever. And then they stick around and they build themselves from literally the very bottom, assistant to the assistant strength coach. And then you build yourself and you get one opportunity, you make the most out of it. And Corey left and went to Utah State, Nebraska with Bo Pelini, and then he has an opportunity to come back. So I'm not saying you have to be an alumni, but it shows you what Bo Davis, what Corey Raymond, and what this place means to them. Mm-hmm. They've gone off, they've been other places now, but for them to come back home at this point in their career, that gives you a little bit extra, in my opinion.
I agree. And I think this staff is incredibly exciting. I think if it was a Mizzou fan, I'd also be pretty salty right now, dude.
Yeah. I can't wait to see Drink at the Senior Bowl.
Not only did LSU go in Tacoma and come out with a win against a Mizzou team that you could argue was better. I mean, it's an argument, but you could argue Mizzou almost maybe could have been 13-1?
Yeah.
Instead of no, because they finished 11-1. 11-2. So 12-1. Could have been arguably 12-1, and yet LSU kind of spoils that. It's LSU's biggest win of the year, and now they have taken your DC, a very highly regarded defensive line coach, and just another piece of the puzzle in Jake Olson. So, pretty wild. But good news for LSU as this staff. There's no excuse now for these players, and there's no excuse now for this team. I mean, this is the staff. There's no excuse for BK to not have more defensive success here, as Scott Woodward has clearly given them all the resources they need to get the guys that they want to help build the championship program. Wow, Jake, what incredible takes.
I mean, those guys, they're just the best.
I think so. And if you think so, again, hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications when we post every single day here on OTB LSU.